Hi, good afternoon, friends. So this is a very simple market update that I would like to do. So hopefully I'll try to make this a bit more frequent. I have not decided on the frequency yet. Probably maybe every uh every 2 weeks I'll do one market update. So there is quite a number of events this year that have, sort of make 2022 a very special year as compared to other previous years and how it has shaped the investment environment so far. So unlike what has happened in 2020, which the biggest event, as everyone knows, is the COVID-19 and all the lockdowns which have disrupted the supply chains all around the world. And then after that, in 2022, with the very first major event is where Russia have invaded Ukraine and started a whole lot of other oil and gas issues and geopolitical issues in the western side of the hemisphere. So maybe let us just go through a few things. The first thing is that we we want to understand what is going on in the US. So firstly, all of us know, especially those people who have been trying to chase the news regarding the interest rates, it has affected the entire world. And as of last week, we do see that at the Jackson Hole event, the Fed chair, Jay Powell, he has vowed to raise interest rate to fight inflation until the job is done. So what is glaring about this particular news is that maybe I just scroll down and show you what's going on. The first thing is that market is expecting that the rate setting is going to increase by another 75 basis point at least for this month in September. So now currently the rate is standing at about 2.25, 2.5%. So if it's another increase of 0.75%, that would be about 3% to 3.25%. So we can expect that kind of region. So after this increase in interest rate, we can expect that the ripple effect in other countries, other sectors, will be very much affected as well. So what we have in Singapore is that when the Fed they increase interest rate, you can see that our mortgage rates will increase as well, and then our fixed deposits rates will also increase. So these are some of the things that will affect the economy, and then maybe will also cause the demand in the short term to be lowered because businesses they will unlikely want to borrow because the interest rate is too high to service. So demand will go down, and therefore you will try to curb the demand a little bit because businesses are not spending. If businesses are not spending, they have no new offers. If there's no new offers, then most likely consumer will also tighten their purse because there's nothing to spend on. So this is one of the few things I feel that can affect the market. The other thing is that a lot of growth companies in the US, especially those tech companies, they are very reliant on debt to grow their business, especially in the growth phase. So when interest rates are on the rise, all these growth companies, unfortunately, they have to pay more interest expense to the bank. And that means to say their P&L will be affected in the short run. And when this happens, you can expect that when analysts, they will lower their expectation, and this will cause investors to maybe exit some of their capital from all these tech stocks, from all these kind of particular business models that rely pretty much on debt to grow. And so maybe we can be a bit more careful when we want to allocate some of our funds into growth stocks, especially tech stocks, and also maybe stocks that are a little bit related to real estate. So these are the two things that we have to look out for. And now, for this rise in interest rate, of course, we all know that the Fed is trying to control inflation. So let us take a look at what is going on right now for the inflation numbers. As of last month, July, 2 months back, the inflation rate was 8.5%. And now, if you go up, let me just show you what's going on. So this is the previous number, which is in July, the CPI year on year for July. And the forecast for August, now they're expecting 8.1%. That means to say, if the CPI report that is going to be released on the 13th of September, it shows a number anything below 8.1%, it is likely that the market will rally. And the converse is true as well. If it's anything above 8.1%, I believe the market will go down even further, just that we don't know how much. And then if the number stays at 8.1%, I guess there'll be not much movement in the market because this number has already been pricing because it's a forecast. So one of the things that we also have to be very careful as investors. So for those people who are more towards short-term trading, you have to be very careful what will happen to the market on 30th of September. When it will go either way. So if let's say those traders who are long, then they have to pray that the number is below 8.1%. And the converse is true. Those who are short, they are praying that the number is above 8.1%. So this is another thing that we have to look out for on the 30th of September. It will be a very interesting date. So if inflation does go down by a very significant amount, maybe even less than 8%, then probably Jay Powell on the FOMC meeting, which is maybe next week, I think. Let me just take a look. Yeah, so around the 21st September, then maybe we can expect that they will not increase by 0.75%. If that's the case, the market will rally further. I expect the market will rally further, but let's see how it goes. So this is one of the other events that I want to share a little bit. And the third one I want to also mention a little bit is that this thing called the unemployment rate. So what is alarming, or it depends on how you see things, is that the previous unemployment rate in was 3.5% only. And then as of this month, the unemployment rate now or as of last month, the unemployment rate has rose to 3.7%. And previously, unemployment rate, when all the COVID restriction policies have died down and then business goes back to normal, life have went back to normal somehow, unemployment rate has been on a steady decrease. But now you see that the number is going up. So what does it mean? It means that, and if you guys maybe just want to share a little bit, unemployment rate is a lagging indicator of what the economy has already happened. So unemployment rate does not cause recession. Recession causes unemployment rate. And if unemployment rate is going up, it means that recession is already in place. And now the number has increased by 0.2%, which at least for US, the workforce is so big, we can, if the number were to go up further for this month, anything above 3.7%, we know that is something that is even more alarming already. But just to share a little bit, then why J Power is still insistent on increasing the interest rate despite increasing unemployment rate? And the answer is very simple. J Power, he is not interested to save unemployment because to him, inflation is what matters more to them. So until inflation is reduced to a normal amount, maybe around the 2 to 3% region, then they will start to cut interest rate. By then, if the unemployment rate has to go up, then I think for J Power, so be it. To him, all this kind of pain is necessary in the short term, so that in the long term, the economy will not be crushed by high inflation numbers. So this is what is happening at the US side. And then after that, let us move on to somewhere more in the European region. And most of us should know by now, the biggest news so far is that the longest reigning monarch in the UK, Queen Elizabeth, she has recently passed away. So is there any repercussions to the economy for this piece of news? I believe the answer is no. Because why? If you guys understand, Queen Elizabeth, she is a constitutional monarch. And what does a constitutional monarch mean? It means that she does not have, or rather she have limited say as to how the country should be run. And most of the time, her role is a bit more symbolic, is a bit more ceremonial. And therefore, I believe she have some power to advise the ministers, but she cannot directly influence the decision. So she can only persuade, she can only give advice, but she cannot say that, okay, I don't want you all to do this thing. No, she cannot do that. So ultimately, her powers are very limited. It's a bit more symbolic, ceremonial. So as a constitutional monarch, I think it's more of just a season of, I guess, mourning for the UK, for the entire country, for UK. So not much, but at least what is quite relief is that before the Queen has passed away, or 1 or 2 days before, she managed to employ the new UK Prime Minister Liz Truss into power before she passed away. And so if in the event that Queen Elizabeth passed away before she can employ the Liz Truss as the UK Prime Minister, then it might pose a few problems, because now we don't have a proper sitting Prime Minister in the UK to make sure that the government can continue to run. But good news is that now she officially is able to exercise her powers as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And the first piece of policy that she has announced is that she will be focusing on more energy issues in the country. So let us take a look. The Prime Minister, she is going to pump in a lot of money to help people in the country to cancel their energy bill payments. So the support amount is roughly about 180 billion. And now what is the issue right now is that a lot of opposition, or maybe a lot of analysts, they are saying that this bill will eventually fall on the taxpayers. And the reason why is very simple, is that initially the opposition, they were suggesting that the funding should be on the oil and gas companies to fund this $180 billion of support measures to help the British people overcome this energy crisis. But Liz Truss, she has already said this thing: I am against a windfall tax. So she's not going to impose any additional tax on businesses. And I feel that her reason for doing that is very simple, because she wants to spur the economy, but at the same time, she also wants to help the citizens. So if you want to help both sides, then this is something that she has to do. But of course, the repercussion is that likelihood the bill will eventually fall on the taxpayers in the long run. And the analyst has also mentioned that this big support measure might have repercussion effects on future generations, because they need to pay it off. So you see how it goes. Because no matter what, the oil and gas crisis in Europe is really a big issue to handle, because if you all know, Russia is previously one of the major exports of gas to the European region, but because of the conflict in between Russia and Ukraine, now Russia is retaliating in their own way by cutting off gas supply by saying that, oh, so now you want to sanction me. Sure, then let us go down together. Now I'm going to cut off your gas supply. And if you want to open up talks, then maybe I will consider opening back up your gas supply. But Russia does know, and they are not stupid either. They know that European, at least for the European continent, they are very reliant on their gas supply. And therefore, now you have seen that at least for the UK and the European Union, now they are trying to find new gas resources and then make sure that in the future, they will not be so reliant on Russia. So now the repercussion on all these things, at least for now, Russia is cutting supply for gas. And then on the other hand, the government is trying their best to make sure that this oil and gas crisis will not affect the country so much. Therefore, if you understand this thing properly, there is some form, the biggest issue over here is that there is supply issue that the entire European continent is facing, including UK. Now, the entire European region is also trying their best to find other oil and gas sources so that they can cut reliance on the Russian side. And if they manage to do so, which I'm not sure how long they need, because I don't think it's a very short-term thing, it's definitely going to be a long-term project. But in the short term, we will continue to see gas prices rise, and much mainly because it's going to be fueled by supply shortage, and also because now COVID restriction policies have already been easing around the world. We do see that there will be an uptick in oil and gas around the world. So increased demand, low supply. And the resultant is that the gas price will increase. So these are the few updates that I want to share today. So hopefully you have some insights over what has happened thus far. And hopefully I will see you again at least in 2 weeks' time, when firstly, J Power has already made a decision on the interest rate increase. And also we see how it goes for this thing, the inflation rate in the US. And hopefully numbers will go down for the better. And I hope that the economy will start to resemble some normalcy, at least what we saw in the pre-COVID times. All right. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. So see you again next time.